Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about diamond, but before I get into showing you actually how you get diamond out of a frame, I want to cover a few things here. It's kind of important to understand how these frames work to be able to repair correctly. Now, this frame here, as we talked about in the previous videos, it's got about 3 millimeters of diamond. Well, back one way, the other way, opposite side is forward, so a total of 6 millimeters. Now, if you're using a 3D measuring system, when you measure this up, you're going to have a little discrepancies in the measurements, and you'll have to interpret that, and I'll show you how. If you're using tram gauges, centerline gauges, a tape measure, most of these little discrepancies you won't be able to pick up. They're just not capable of doing it, so you kind of have to work around both systems. But if you come up here and you'll measure your point here, a point here, a point here on both sides, what you'll end up with, let's see, I'm going to write it on this bottom thing here, bottom diagram. This may show you that you're back 3 millimeters that way. You get to this point, it may show you're only 1 millimeter back. And you get back here to the rear, and it might show 2 millimeters. So now this didn't get compressed here. You can't be 3 millimeters back here and only 1 millimeter back here. Now going to the opposite side, it may be similar. It may show you're 3 millimeters ahead here, you're 2 here, and you're only 1 here. So, like I said, if you're using a tram, a tape measure, something, you're not going to pick that up. But this will probably just be discrepancies in the way the frame was stamped and put together. But all you're looking for is a pattern. Every measurement you have here shows that the left side, or the right side is forward, the left side is back. So that's the only thing you're concerned about at this point, knowing which way it's going. You don't say, well, that's only a millimeter back, so we're not bad there. There must be some damage in here. If it got hit on the front, it didn't compress that frame. But like I said, you just want that, show that pattern. So what you're going to do to anchor this, if you're on a frame rack and you've got the dedicated truck clamps, that's the best way you can do this. It's the easiest way. And like I said, you won't even need your pulling power, your towers to pull this. Everybody, myself included, that's how I used to do it. You would try and anchor this thing down, and you'd get a chain somewhere back here on this side of the rail, and you'd pull that way, or anchor it, and you'd put your power post up here, and you're going to try and pull this way, and you're going to stretch it. You're going to get it back, but what happens, these chains and all that power is just going to try and equalize everything, and is going to want to just twist that frame around. So everything that you did previous to get this all squared up and running in center, you just ruined all that. It's going to throw everything off. It's going to bend everything back out of place. Your center line is going to be way off. And, you know, that's the only thing that's going to happen trying to do it that way. And I've struggled with that for years. You know, years ago before I come upon this other way. And you'd try and pull diamond out. And it was usually tough. You really couldn't get them to move much. You'd fight it, and you'd lose your center line. And you'd have to go back, start over. So what you're going to do, you're going to anchor this frame back, and you have to do this in 2 places. Now this is going to be somewhere right underneath the flat spot of the frame, the center section there. And you're on, like I said, you're on your frame rack. Now you have to have those, they're called wrench binders, and you can get them through Auto Body Tool Mart. I looked on Amazon, they don't carry them, and they're kind of expensive. They're about 95 bucks a piece. But they work kind of like the ratcheting chain binders, and I've used those ratcheting chain binders before, and they're okay for just holding a load. You can stretch a chain tight, put pressure on it, but if you want to keep a constant, some power on that thing and keep stretching and stretching, tightening that chain up, they just don't work because the threads are too just heavy. The wrench binders through Auto Body Tool Mart, they got a finer thread to them. They got a hook on both ends, and they come with a wrench, and you can turn those things, and you can get a lot of power out of them. So you need to put one on this chain, you put a binder there, you're going to put a binder here. Now, if you're using the full frame racks or the truck clamps on your frame rack, you want this side, you're going to leave this nice and tight. You're not going to touch this clamp, but you still want to put tension on there to hold that from moving. This side, your clamps, you want to loosen them up where they mount to the frame rack. Don't loosen them on the frame, but you want them to be able to slide on the frame rack. And then you're going to take another 2 chains and you're going to come out this way, same thing underneath this section of the frame, right in the center there, and you're going to put those binders on there. And you're going to crank those things, do one and do the other, but you want to just keep tension on there. And if you're using a measuring system, you can watch your screen and you can see how that diamond will come back. And I don't know exactly how these computers, how they'll work, but like I said, those discrepancies, you could have a 3 here and a 1 there. Usually once you get closer to center, those will even up pretty much, and you should only have maybe one of them maybe out a millimeter, maybe 2, but those numbers will usually come closer to center. They won't be, you won't have the discrepancy once you get it pulled where you needed it. So like anything you're going to pull, you're going to over pull it. To get that 3 millimeters per side, you might have to stretch it the opposite way, another 2 or 3, but these will work even on 3/4 ton frames. It'll do it. And you should have, like I talked about before, your bed bolts should be out, your cap should be loose. You can't have anything, any tension on there holding it in place. And it's surprising how easy you can move that frame. So then you can let off of it, check your measurements. If you need to go a little bit more, you just apply more pressure, go past the point you were before. And keep these things nice and tight. Like I said, work them one at a time. And it's just amazing how it'll take that diamond out. It won't affect your center line because you're not pulling or anchoring back here. All you're doing is grabbing the center section. Now, I want to talk about thrust angle. That's the most important reason why you want to get the diamond out of it. Thrust angle is the angle, say your rear axle right there. Let's do it this way. There is perfectly 90 degrees from, even though it doesn't look perfect 90, from the frame. If your rear end has a little bit of an angle because this side is driven back, that angle in there is the thrust angle. Now most trucks go up to maybe 5/10 on the heavy side allowance for thrust angle. Usually you can get them within 2/10, so it's very minimal. So it's very critical to get the diamond out of it to get that axle running perfectly true with the frame. If it's not, it'll throw off the alignment. What it'll make it do, the back of the truck will track one way or another, and then the front end alignment has to be adjusted, the steering wheel, because it's always, like I say, dog tracking. I mean, it's so slight you wouldn't probably notice it going down the road, but it just affects the whole frame. It affects the front end alignment. So that's why you have to get that thing right on the money. And like I said, with these binders, it's very easy to do. Now, if you don't have them at the shop, they are expensive. Like I said, they're about 95 bucks a piece. But if you use them on, just a couple of jobs, it saves you so much time and aggravation. It's worth the investment to buy them. So once you got the diamond out, we're going to leave these chains on here for the remainder to pull, and I'm going to explain why in the next video. So I hope you got some information out of this video. I hope it helped you, and thanks for watching.